That's it.
There we go.
That's it. Album time.
All right, guys. So I am starting things up. We're doing UGK with their album Ridin' Dirty. And in the opening montage, you heard One Day. And now you're going to hear Ridin' Dirty comes in at number 663 in the 1990s on Best Ever Albums, number 78 in 1996, number 3,910 of all time. It is UGK's highest rated album on Best Ever Albums. It did not make Rolling Stone's list, and they are ranked number 1,985 of overall artist rankings on Best Ever Albums. So this is their third studio album, released on July 30th, 1996. Genres, Southern hip-hop. And then I saw a note somewhere else where it said trap, and I was like, I don't know. I'm not hearing the trap here, but maybe I'm not well-versed. Maybe you guys do. But
maybe it's pre-trap.
Pre-trap, yeah, exactly.
Proto-trap.
Proto-trap. There you go, Josh. Yes, for sure.
Trap gaze.
They were influenced by several artists, including EPMD, Ice-T, Master P, Big Daddy Kane, Eric B. and Rakim, NWA, Ghetto Boys, and Tribe Called Quest. And artists that they have influenced include 2 Chainz, Big Boy. Now, you have to say, is it Chamillionaire? Chamillionaire? How do you say that name?
Chamillionaire.
Chamillionaire, okay. Mm-hmm. And Big Crit, another one there. Mm-hmm. Their highest charting album is 2007's Underground Kings. And highest charting single is 2007's International Players Anthem, I Choose You, which features Outkast. And I kind of just gave that away. But did you guys know what UGK stood for before this podcast?
No, I never
did. I didn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is Underground Kings is what that is. So a little bit about them. They were formed in Port Arthur, Texas in 1987. Originally by Mitchell Queen, also known as Big Mitch, and Chad Butler, known as Pimp C. Big Mitch did not last too long. He eventually left the group to pursue a football career. I don't think he did too well, guys, because I did not see any. I Googled him. He didn't have a little blue icon on Wikipedia. There was nothing to read about Big Mitch's football career, so I don't think that did too well for him. So, but he was replaced by Bernard Freeman, who is known as Bun B. So basically, you've got Pimp C and Bun B. They make up UGK. They were signed to Jive Records in 92 under a 5-album contract. Their first album was called Too Hard to Swallow, and that was released in 1992. They had some songs on that album.
It's a love anthem, I think. I love album. Yep.
Very tender. They had a few songs on that record that were cut due to the excessive explicit content. However, if you do want to hear them, they were released on a subsequent EP called Band, so you can get those songs there. Their second album was Super Tight. That was released in 1994. And that peaked at number 95 on the charts.
I believe was what that one was. Yeah.
A what album?
A fitness album.
Fitness album. Super Tight. Yep. Very much into the jazzercise, aerobics kind of thing. And then they've got, this is their third album, Ridin' Dirty. It is their best-selling album. It sold over 850,000 copies. And this is a pretty influential record on just generally in Southern hip-hop, most notably in Houston, Texas.
You can definitely hear that. Yeah.
For sure. After this album, they went on a 5-year hiatus, but then they released, but then in 2000, they appeared on Jay-Z's Big Pimpin', which is a song I'm sure many of us are familiar with, as well as 3 6 Mafia's Sippin' on Some Syrup. And the label that they were on, that UGK was on, was hoping that these songs, these appearances would help them, catch a little bit more publicity. But unfortunately, their fourth album, 2001's Dirty Money, did not sell well. And after that, Pimp C was arrested, and he was incarcerated for an aggravated gun assault charge this in 2002. And so both members started pursuing solo careers then.
Is there an unaggravated gun charge? Either
that is a good question.
Or
just a possession, just having a gun without, an unlicensed gun. That's probably unaggravated, right?
Got it. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a good answer.
Yeah, it's my.
What if it's unloaded? Is that not count?
Maybe. Now we're getting beyond my law degree. I don't know. I didn't get that far. So they did both release their own albums in 2005, but apparently Pimp C's was released before he was released from jail. So I don't know how that worked out. I tried to find more information on how do you make an album while you're in jail, but I don't know. It just somehow, I don't know. He knew somebody on the inside.
Probably need a lot of cigarettes to make that.
Or maybe they got the Rolling Stones to travel, studio.
Oh, yeah,
and that's where they recorded,
mobile studio.
Right? Maybe that, yeah. So they did They did reform for their fifth studio album, 2007's Underground Kings. This was a double album. Not their last, though. And unfortunately, Pimp C died in 2007. He was found in a hotel room in California on December 4th, 2007. It was ruled an accidental death, attributing it to the effects of heavy usage of something called lean. You guys know what lean is? It's actually referenced in I think it's referenced in this album and a lot of other Pimp C records.
Is it the syrup, like the cough syrup with like codeine in it?
It's codeine. Yep, that's one part. The other part is promethazine.
Okay.
Sorry, excuse me.
Okay.
So it's like that's the cocktail that I guess that Pimp C liked to use.
What's promethazine?
Lil Wayne drinks something similar to that too.
Promethazine, probably a barbiturate or something, you know. And he also had sleep apnea, so he had all that stuff kind of in his, sleep apnea going on with the drugs, and that ended up killing him. And then after his death, they did release one final album in 2009 called UGK for Life. Bun B still makes records. He's still around, but he's got some other interesting ventures, including a job as he was a professor at Rice University as a distinguished professor. He also released a coloring and activity book called Bun B's Rap Coloring Activity Book, which you can buy on Amazon for a relative nominal fee. And he also has his own restaurant, one restaurant in Houston called Trill Burgers. Trill is the title of several of his albums, Trill 1, Trill 2. I don't know exactly what Trill is referring to, but that's his word. But I looked at the website for Trill Burgers. They look like really good freaking burgers, guys. So if you're ever in Houston, it's been open for a couple of years since COVID, but you might want to check out Trill Burgers. It's only one location in Houston, but they look delicious. So that is what Bun B is, quite the entrepreneur in addition to being a UGK member.
Could you please buy that coloring book for your daughter?
I should. I should.
Well, if your name is Bun B, you kind of have to have a side hustle doing hamburgers, don't you?
Yeah. That's a good
true.
point. Good point. So, yeah, UGK. Who wants the first crack at this? Any takers?
I'll go first.
There you go, Josh.
Yeah, so like Matt said in the bio, I only knew UGK from Big Pimpin' and International Players Anthem. I never sought them out, and I'm glad I listened to this album because it's pretty good. I think it's long for sure. Caveat that as first, but really, what album in the '90s isn't long at this point? I really like the soul samples that they use on that. I think that contrasts really well with their style of rapping. I love the race to see who can rap the slowest that we're going on. I feel like this is they are winning so far because their delivery is so laid back and slow, intentionally. I mean, that's why isn't Ghost Riding the Whip from that area too, in Houston and stuff, and just that Screwed and Chopped too, we've talked about before in the South, slowing down things. And I think they don't even need that because they just rap so slow. And it covers the same sort of themes as the other stuff we've talked about, crime and stuff. Although I do find the frame story interludes with the guy saying he's in jail, right? And he keeps seeing guys kissing or something. He's grossed out by that.
Man, he's tonguing that guy.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre.
It is so bizarre, but I found it hilarious because it just kept coming up in the album, and I was like, this guy clearly has some issues with this. But yeah, I thought the rapping was pretty good. I like songs like One Day and Diamonds and Wood, and basically all the ones that have the soul beats behind them. I think we've got Isaac Hayes and the Heisley Brothers making an appearance on here. I think some Curtis Mayfield as well that I heard. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I like the dynamic between the two of them too. They have a couple of guest artists as well, but I don't really know them. And I like the dynamic between the two main rappers. And yeah, this is good. It's it's comparable. I guess it's comparable to Ghetto Boys maybe, although it's not horrorcore by any imagination. And I think it's better than 3-6 Mafia. But obviously that they're from Tennessee. But regardless, Southern rap, definitely influential. Like Matt said, I can Paul Wall later on, and there's a couple of other artists that kind of, Mike Jones, right? I think he's another big one from that area, and Slim Thug, he's the third one that I'm thinking of. They all kind of copy the style that these guys originated, or just kind of the area. And I'm lax on my modern hip hop, but I'm sure the Houston kind of scene is still thriving. I'm sure they have their own kind of local rap culture as well, that, you know, artists that don't kind of rise out to the national level. But yeah, this is pretty good album. A little long, but I liked it overall, so thumbs up for me.
Yeah, I actually had never listened to this album before. I knew of UGK just from, you know, name, right? I don't even think I put two and two together that they were the guys on Big Pimpin', right? Like, I just figured that was like a featured artist. So yeah, but as soon as I heard like the MCs, I'm like, oh, that's the Big Pimpin' guys, because it was immediate, right? They have a very distinguishable voice. Yeah, I look at this as a natural outgrowth of the outposts of Southern hip hop, right? And there's the New Orleans outpost, there's like the Atlanta outpost, and then this is what I'm quickly learning is like the Houston outpost, which is, it's its own version of gangster rap, which is built around the idea of sort of being detached from the larger world a little bit. It has elements of like surrealism to it, not in, like you said, the horrorcore way that's like leaning fully into it, but like what's real and what's not real, kind of Ghetto Boys, right? Like Mind Playing Tricks on Me. There's a little bit of that in here. Explicit, borderline unsexy sex would be how I would describe like this is not like in any way like a sex that's designed around anything besides like transactional sex, like I would say. And it's like at times there is no there's not even like a you know, then I hit it and quit it, you know, like left, where it's sort of still ambiguous, you know, like they'll go into like detail, right, about like the type of sex they're having, but not in like the way like an R&B person does, where it's like, I'm really enjoying this, I'm connected, you're gorgeous, you know, like, you know, I'm feeling it, and more just like, I'm gonna go like almost like medical, like describing like the terms of, is there lots of like casual violence, right there. The only argument I have in this is, boy, like some of these songs, like the last minute and a half, just run on the same theme. I mean, that one song about why he carries a gun, he must have said that 7,000 times over and over again, to the point where I'm like, I get it. You know what I mean? I could go the rest of my life without hearing an extended track where you call out your boys for 10 minutes like that. I'll be honest, guys, I tapped out at the 7-minute mark of that, and I never usually, I usually hang until the bitter end, but I'm like, I know who none of these people
on
are.
outro,
so
the last song.
Yes, I do not need to hear a 10-minute outro of like every dude that you've ever like, you know, want to dap up in it. So those were things that frustrated me a little bit. You're right, Josh, that the flow is deliberate. Like to a fault at times. It wasn't bad. It's a narrative device. I can't say, and some of this might just be cultural, I can't say it's my favorite style of flow. I would say there are some barriers to like the Southern style in general. I tend to like the Southern style when it's either more playful or more like fully leaned in, like kind of like part rural, part hood, like delivery, like a little bit more of like the New Orleans delivery, where it's like almost so comically over the top Southern that it's like it's its own thing and it stands out. This is sort of like gangster rap, but slowed down to the level of 4, right? As opposed to, you know, what like West Coast gangster rap is. So I would say overall, I like this. There were good, you're right, Josh, the soul beats and the sort of the nostalgic beats are the best beats. The ones that are a little faster are good as well, but I didn't see a lot of variation necessarily in the craft of those beats either. So I feel like these are designed to be played out of a speaker in a car as loud as humanly possible, which, hey, that's not a knock, by the way, but some of those like faster beats I think lack some of the nuance, because at the end of the day they're really just about the beat, you know, the bass and how it's hitting like in a subwoofer. So I liked it, but I can't say I liked it as much as the Ghetto Boys album we did, for example. I think there was more on the Goody Mob album that I connected with. We haven't done Outkast yet, but I'm familiar with their catalog. I would say I definitely like that, but definitely I like this a lot better than something like 3-6 Mafia, for example, right? I thought there was more craft to this, so
Yeah.
there you go.
Well,
that's where I stand.
Well, that's a low bar. I had no idea who these freaking guys were, and wasn't sure exactly what I was getting here. But I really like this one. Especially in the beginning. This is another album. Yes, it goes too long. I think the stronger tracks are in the first part of the record. I think it starts off pretty strong with, I think the One Day Murder, Pinky Ring, Diamonds and Wood are all really, I think those are some of my favorite songs. Yes, and I think one of the main reasons I like this is because they're sampling from such great, like 70s, soul, kind of artists like the Curtis Mayfield, the, Bootsy Collins is on here, Isaac Hayes, so it's just really cool samples that they're using, and the production behind it is great. And normally, like Southern rap is not something that in rap is not like, oh, that's like Southern rap's where it is for me. But there's something about, the flow is slower and deliberate, but I don't know. I think Bun B, I like more than Pimp C. Bun B, I believe, has the deeper of vocal parts, and Pimp C's a little higher. There were some parts he just with the way he was flowing and the way he was like twisting the sounds of the words to kind of fit the rhymes. Mm-hmm. It just kind of made me laugh a couple of times because he was leaning into this like kind of drawl in a way that was really deliberate, but he would kind of like string words together that I thought at times that I thought was kind of
That's
funny.
how I feel about the New Orleans style. They have that too. So if you like that, you might notice it in that too.
And I don't know enough to know if that's like, I like that style. I like the way that it was just on display here, I guess. And maybe overall I do, but I don't know. There was something about this that's just sat well with me, which I was on the first listen. I wasn't quite there. I do think that one of the knocks here on this for me is some of the lyrics of this are very, like, as you guys were saying, like the type of sex that they're having, the carrying the gun, the fuck my car, which
did actively make me laugh.
Yes,
it did actively make me laugh.
Over and over again.
They also repeated that like so many times.
That must have been said at least 20 times in that song. But there was at the same time, there was something kind of like comical, and I didn't really take it as serious as like there's some other hip hop where they kind of go more to street life and stuff that you feel like, damn, this is freaking serious stuff. I didn't really get that sense here with some of this. I kind of, it was a little tongue in cheek, and I think that made it, I don't know, a little bit more fun, I would say, maybe a little bit more palatable if you're not looking for something that's like totally like telling the story of the streets or whatever. But yeah, it wasn't, I think initially it was a little, it was like, oh, here we go again. But like, I actually found myself really liking a lot of the beats and the samples here. And then by the end of the week, I was kind of just like laughing at some of the characters of the of this. So overall, pretty positive. But yeah, again, too long. They definitely could have done without that last song. Maybe cut two other songs off it. Make this like a 40-minute record would have been better. But yeah, for a group I never heard of before, and in Southern rap, which I never would have thought like, hey, I like Southern rap. Like the beginnings of it, at least with this, I was overall pretty positive on. So I'm thumbs up here.
I love the fact that, Matt, you're going to be more schooled in hip-hop by the end of this run than many people that think of themselves as hip-hop heads. And I'm going to thoroughly enjoy, like, 4 years from now when you have, like, a database of, like, hundreds of rap albums. Actually, really, when I think of Southern rap, it's like,
UGK.
Yes, UGK. Like, and we haven't even gotten into it, right? So by the end of it, you're gonna have like decades worth of doing it. So I want you to tape the next time somebody thinks of himself as a hip hop head, and you're like, well, actually, let's like kind of break this down.
Yeah,
to
let's go back to the history of Southern rap, guys. Yeah, Yep.
And now I know from the Big Pimpin' lyric what Big Pimpin' up in PAT stands for, because I had never understood what that meant, or what that acronym. Now I know it's an acronym for Port Arthur, Texas. So thank you, UGK, for dropping that knowledge on me.
Fun fact: that's also where Janis Joplin was from.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Okay.